Hi, hello, I'm Roby and this is the fourth video already about making exhibitions. The fourth of 8. Well, setting up exhibitions takes time, and sometimes you have that time and sometimes you really need that time, because even in the case of an ordinary art exhibition, it's not always just framed work. In 2007 we had in the Mondrian house, the place where Piet Mondrian was born, an exhibition with the fascinating work of Sanne Brugging. And as you can see, her work is not easy to hang. On the contrary. However, it's also a pleasure to set up such an exhibition. It's also kind of funny that at the end of the video Jolijn is asking me whether it will be on YouTube. These days YouTube only exists 2 years, but it was already popular, even in the world of museums. So after 50 years it's now on YouTube. Or as they say sometimes in Asia, on YouTube. And Jolijn works now as educator in the famous Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. For a new exhibition, in most cases you have to close your exhibition space to the public, and that costs money. That is why in important centers you often only have a few days to set up an exhibition. But even if you have your own space, you like to keep it open as much as possible. If you have a different exhibition every month and you have to close for a week to set up, all your fixed costs will continue, and that's not economic. This means that it can be very practical to make a model of your space. With the help of a miniature material, you can then try out different exhibitions, how to put things in the exhibition. As you see, I still have a very simple model that I used for teaching. I had taken photos from an art postcard catalogue and cut them and passed them on the cardboard, so students could then make a thematic selection and organize an exhibition. Where do you hang which work? Which work do you hang next to each other? Where do you put the needed furniture? And so on and so on. It's not difficult to make a model. On our Patreon site you find more detailed description how to do it. As soon as you have one, well, today it's very easy to get digital material of what will be on your next exhibition. Print them on the right scale and you can prepare your whole exhibition on the coffee table. You can not only make a plan where to hang the paintings, but you can also make an inventory of what materials you need. You will be surprised how much time we lose because we have to go to the store halfway because we need tape or something else. Changing exhibitions in this way will take much less time. So on the model we can see that the windows are a bit misplaced, especially in case you only have two-dimensional work. A window is not a wall, so you can't hang anything there, and the light that enters is often very bright with a lot of UV radiation, which is very harmful to both visitors and most of the works on display. There are often rooms with windows facing each other, and from the idea that when there's more light enters there will be more light, but it has in fact the opposite effect. Although more light comes in, there will be no more light in the room, because what comes in through one window goes out through the other one. So as an exhibitor you have a lot to do with light, and it's more convenient to have artificial light in your exhibition room than natural light. Artificial light looks the same at any time of the day, and when choosing the lamps you can take in account the amount of UV they emit. And then we come to the question that buyers of an artwork often ask themselves, why does the artwork I bought look so different at home? It's a bit the same question as, why does the same dish taste so very different in a restaurant than at home? And the answers are also a bit similar. Invite a lot of friends and you have the atmosphere of the restaurant. Hang the same lighting as the gallery and the work will look the same. Apparently they also have white light there. but there are so many kinds of white, just as there are also many kinds of black. A famous quote is from Henry Ford. In the old days, there were only black Ford T's cars, and journalists were asking him whether he was also delivering other colors. And their false answers: we deliver all colors as long as it is black. So the funny thing is that black is in fact no color. For this we have to explain how light works. Because I often work with children, I have an easy way to explain it. I start with to ask what color their shirt is. Then they will answer, for example, green. After which I ask, so if you go to sleep and tonight and you hang your shirt on the chair, put on your pyjamas, go to bed and turn off the light, you will see a green shirt? No, they won't. Because the shirt is not really green. It only reflects green light. Light consists of different types of waves, and white light has all types of waves. When you shine a white light on a green shirt, it will reflect the waves that gives us the green impression. When you shine a red light on it, then the shirt do not reflect the red light and you still don't see anything. So a red color reflects the red light, a green color reflects the green lights, and a white reflects all the light, while black doesn't reflect any light because it has no color. Only colors reflect light. White light has a lot of waves that make up all the colors. The three basic colors are yellow, magenta and cyan. When you aim a spot with yellow light, for example on a white plate, the plate will look yellow because it reflects the yellow light. Then you add a spot with magenta light and one with cyan light, the two dark colors, but surprisingly the plate will not become dark but very white. Always a bit confusing because magenta and cyan are dark colors. In the late 70s I worked in the theater at Hoogt in Utrecht, in the center of the Netherlands, and I sometimes had players who wanted a dark red spot somewhere. When they thought it was not dark enough, they wanted a second dark red spot. Well, and they get only more light, not darker. Coming back to the work that was bought, objects can only reflect those waves that are beamed at them. That is why painting can look very different when a different white light shines on it. This is because the different types of white light, and we call that the color temperature of the light. The color temperature is expressed in degrees Kelvin and named after a certain Baron Kelvin. And as you can see on the scale made by the Lighting Design Lab in Seattle, thank you for that, at the bottom we see that red has around 1000 degree Kelvin. Sunrise or the sunset is about 2500 degree Kelvin. When the light becomes yellower and the day brighter, around 4500, the white daylight starts. Afternoon sun is 6000, and the higher the color temperature, the more it goes towards blue. The northern lights is around 8000 degree Kelvin. Because light with blue, it feels more cold. So at home the lights have in general a lower degree Kelvin than in shops, and this means that the yellow and the red waves are reflecting more, giving a warmer light, but the artwork will look different. On the other hand, in restaurants they have often a lower degree Kelvin lighting because that feels warmer. So when you buy an artwork, ask the color temperature of the lamp that is shining on it. So it all starts with turning on light. In a theater, visitors are not allowed to do this, to play with the light. In the mid-80s, I built a dark room in my gallery. When you stepped behind some thick curtains, everything became pitch dark, and you felt something that you could not go further because there was a shelf in the middle. You also felt several light switches on, and by turning them on, the spotlights shone on a series of beautiful stacks of stones, and there were also lamps aimed at the back wall where a large painting hung, a triptych, and you could open this through the strings that were also on the shelf. Normally you're not allowed to play with the lighting in an exhibition space, but the fun was that you were allowed to do so. You could turn the different lights on and off, let them give more or less light, and there were enough lights and lamps to get all kind of exposures. At the picture, one cannot see the stone tables very well. Actually, I can show you how Harold made those stone stacks. He did it live on Dutch national television in 1987 as a part of a project which I wanted to show how philosophy could be presented in a different way. The theme I used was moving is changing. A ferry moves, but nothing actually changed. At least in this case, because they were busy digging a tunnel under the river, and then the ferry will disappear completely. That's why I wanted people to throw red marbles overboard on the port side while sailing, and green marbles on the starboard side. After a while, they will form a marble ribble on the bottom of the river, a monument for the ferries. I mentioned it before that there was a time I was admitted to the Royal Art Academy in Antwerp, but after a few weeks I knew that I wanted to present art rather than to make it. This is the only time I combined both. So I was making art and also presenting it. So I had thought of using the ferry as an exhibition space. It has 4 million users every day. Well, you still get more visitors than in any gallery. However, those days the Dutch television had only 2 official networks, and remote control did not exist. So when people wanted to see a program, the television was put on that network in advance. The television program that you will see here was broadcasted immediately before Europe Cup final of Ajax. So millions of viewers were already waiting with a beer, I think, for the football. And then they were suddenly confronted about my art projects. Fortunately, Ajax won, so that the viewers remembered the television evening with pleasure. Until 10 years later, I was still approached by strangers asking whether I was that weirdo who threw marbles in the water. Well, you can imagine, when Ajax would have lost, there's a big chance they would have blamed me for this. Free publicity can work very well, but you cannot control it. So, by the way, the artworks had to be changed regularly, and I had developed a special storm resistant system for that. So I talk about that, I think, on our Patreon site. And thank you for watching. The next video will be about the plan of work and the budget. So see you next time, and thank you very much.
Roby Bellemans uit Axel probeert vooral Zeeuwse kunstenaars en hun werk onder de aandacht te brengen van het publiek. Hij doet dat met zijn kunstuitleen en galerie, maar daarnaast op alle serieuze en ludieke manieren die hem maar te binnen willen schieten. Na lang aandringen heeft hij nu toestemming gekregen 4 schilderijen op te hangen op de veerboot Vlissingen-Breskens. De jaarlijks 4 miljoen passagiers van de boot kunnen dus voortaan behalve naar buiten en naar een koffiekopje kijken naar kunst. Wat is de bedoeling van de schilderijen aan boord?
Dat mensen hedendaagse kunst zien natuurlijk. Iedereen die zit hier een half uur op die boot, zit maar wat te wachten. Veel mensen die varen op en neer, er zijn ontzettend veel toeristen. Dit is een ideale plek waar mensen heel rustig in contact kunnen komen met hedendaagse kunst.
De eigenaar van de boot is de provinciale stoomvaartdienst.
Ja.
Was die het ermee eens?
Tot onze grote verbazing wel, ja. Dat we hebben vroeger al wel eens geprobeerd om iets te doen hier, maar dat mocht dan nooit. En daar waren ook redelijke argumenten voor, maar het is allemaal ineens wat veranderd. Hè. Het mocht ineens. Dus wij zijn heel blij, tot onze grote verrassing. Daarna gaat de provincie het overnemen. Die gaan dan van de gelegenheid gebruik maken om Zeeuwse kunstenaars aan het publiek te presenteren. Er komen ongelooflijk veel mensen. Zoiets dat hoort gewoon van de provincie te zijn en niet van een particuliere instelling.
Bij het inrichten van deze eerste expositie zijn er wat extra lieden meegekomen.
Geloof niet dat ze het allemaal echt begrepen hebben, maar dat verwachtte ik ook niet.
Ja, de volgende. Het moet ongeveer zijn. Hij moet dan opnemen van boven, hè? Je moet dus. Hij klikt van onder. Ja.
Voor jou is dit project ook deel van een groter geheel, hè?
Ja, dat gaat met het thema over bewegen is veranderen. Wij proberen tellen elk jaar of om de 2 jaar een nieuw thema en daar rondomheen doen we dan allerlei activiteiten die op zichzelf staand zijn, maar die ook in een groter geheel vormen. En in dit geval gaat het dus over de verschillende vormen van veranderingen, hoe dat die ontstaan door de verschillende vormen van bewegen. Dus bijvoorbeeld, wat ik straks al zei, het woordje pak. In het Nederlands, dat betekent gewoon pak. Als je dat woordje op een briefkaart schrijft en je brengt het naar Rusland, dan lezen de mensen daar het woord rak. En dat betekent dan kreeft. Dus dat verandert gewoon door de omgeving te veranderen. En zo kun je op een heleboel manieren zaken doen veranderen. Door steeds, hoe heet het, of de omgeving of het onderwerp zelf te veranderen. Of alle twee. Kom maar.
Je bent ook nog iets met koningin Beatrix van plan?
Ja, dat leek me een hele mooie. Als illustratie van het woordje pak zou het dus heel mooi zijn als koningin Beatrix is een dag in België ging zitten en koning Boudewijn een dag in Nederland. Dan kon je dus zien hoe een koningin die ineens in een ander land zit, die zit in een heel andere omgeving. Dat blijft nog steeds een koningin, maar daar zien de mensen ineens heel anders tegenaan dan hier. En dat is ook een mooie interculturele uitwisseling. En dan leren de Nederlanders tegelijkertijd al wennen aan de koning. Dat zullen ze toch eens moeten gaan doen. Ja, die boot die gaat op en neer. Hè?
Goedemiddag, meneer en mevrouw. Wij zijn blij dat u getuige zult zijn van een wel zeer bijzonder gebeuren. Wat is namelijk het geval? Wij bevinden ons op een pont. Die vaart van de ene naar de andere kant. Maar, zoals u weet, zal deze pont binnenkort hier niet meer zijn. Nu wil het geval dat hier een kunstwerk tot stand zal komen, waar, als u dat wilt, ook aan kunt deelnemen. Dit kunstwerk zal een lint zijn. Een lint dat daalt op de bodem. En dat lint zal nimmer vergaan. Want het bestaat uit glazen knikkertjes. Rood aan links en blauw aan rechts. Knikkers! En ik vraag, stort uw knikkers! Zee en water, ik vertrouw u wel. Ik geef u mijn knikkers. Versmelt ze snel.
Nu moeten alle passagiers voortaan op hun reis links en rechts knikkers overboord gooien. Daarmee leveren ze hun bijdrage aan het monument voor de veerboot als ooit de brug over de Westerschelde is gebouwd.